guy that a couple of billion people or million people around the world really love. It's just something that everyone should know. That's from my little, sad little talk anyway about love. But so, who the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was, it's a hard question to ask, because for every single person, it's a different experience that people have with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. The first thing we understand is that everything is for the sake of God. Everything is for the sake of God. And the biggest thing that God did was He sent a gift to us. A gift to humankind was the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. If you're living in the deserts of Arabia, if you're living in, about 1433 years later, and in 2 days' time, it will be 1433 years to the day when the Prophet made hijrah, he made migration from Mecca to Medina. So 1433 years later, I'm still stood here talking about this person and his migration and what he's about. But I want you to forget all about that. Forget everything I've said so far. Just take yourselves back to what it was like to live 1400 years ago in the deserts of Arabia, where there was no real religion there. You're living in a valley called Mecca, and a smaller valley called Bakka, and there's mountains on either side, big mountain, and they used to call it a fortress, because Mecca was something that was never invaded by anyone. Because the problem with Mecca is it's a peninsula, so it's first of all that most of it is surrounded by water, and then the region is highly, the terrain is mountainous, therefore for people to enter it, it was too much for them. And then on top of that, the Arabs were people of war, and they love fighting, and they just love killing each other, and they had tribal fights and clans and all sorts going on. So you think about it, you've got a brutal people who love to fight in a mountainous terrain. So it was sort of, outside people didn't really come into the place, or what that was called Hijaz then. It's not called Saudi Arabia, it's called Hijaz. So people didn't usually come in there. And then one day you get someone, and back at that time, the sort of the religion or what people used to do is they used to run around the Kaaba, which is the black house that people know about now. They used to run around that naked, and that was their religion. That was just what they did. They had statues there that used to be called Allah, Al-Manat, Al-Udda. They had all these statues that used to worship, and they used to see them as things that would get them closer to God, and they would worship them as a means to worship God. And there used to be people there who were called the monotheists, the Hunafa they were called, and these were then situated on the outskirts of Mecca and the Hijaz, monks that used to live, who used to follow the Abrahamic faith. So you've got a cosmopolitan city called Mecca, and every year used to have something called the Souq al-Iqal, that was a sort of a marketplace where all the Arab tribes would come there and trade. And then you have this hustle and bustle of a city called Mecca, where it's a sort of dish that's, all sorts of religions going on, and a sort of an inkling of the Abrahamic faith left in certain people of the Hunafa, who are called the monotheists, monks, and other people who would claim to follow one God. And there's other people who are doing all sorts. And then one man comes in Mecca, and he starts telling people that there's only one God. He starts telling people after 40 years of his life, he starts telling people that, look, what you're doing is wrong. He starts telling people that there's only one God, and that I am the messenger of God. So people straight away start thinking, what's wrong with you? I mean, you're 40 years, you've been living here. Then they used to call him the most truthful, the person who they would be the most taught, the person who was like Ibn Abi Kabsha, the person of a shepherd. And he was someone who they used to call the trustworthy one. And someone they trusted in their community from a sacred lineage all the way back to Adnan, I would call him the son of Ismail. And he comes and he starts spreading this message of one God, and I'm the last prophet. He starts becoming ostracized in the community. They start torturing the people that start following the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And this is just a very quick snapshot, just so you get a real sort of understanding of what's going on. And then he starts becoming ostracized, and he still starts proclaiming the oneness of God, the oneness of God, the oneness of God. Then he migrates to Medina. After about 40 years, he migrates, 50 years, sorry, he migrates from Mecca to Medina. And he makes that migration for the sake of religion and to spread religion to people. There he spends 10 years in Medina, and that's where he's buried right now in Medina. After 63 years, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, passes away. At that time, at 63 years, they say he had over 124,000 people who followed him. In the space of 23 years, 124,000 people followed the way of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. After the death of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, the whole of that area slowly, over God knows how many years, started becoming people who started spreading the message of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. The companions, the people that followed, are now buried in places like Istanbul, in Palestine, in Gaza, in Cairo, in Morocco, Andalusia, places like that. They're buried there. Why? Because they traveled then to spread the message. Understanding this, what was the message? What did he come with? The only thing he came with, forget everything else. Forget the matters of spirituality, forget the matters of after death, forget the matters of everything. He came with one message, only one message. That one message was one God. Worship one God, that's all I want. I don't want anything else. I want you to worship one God. One God, and who is that God? The one that is worthy to be worshipped. The one God that created you from a sperm. The one God that created you out of water, the one God that created you out of clay and mud, and then instilled in you a spirit, a life form at 120 days. Worship that God. The God that Allah calls in the Quran, Rabb. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Rabb means in the Arabic language someone who nurtured you from childhood, as a baby, as a child to an adult form. He nurtures you. He makes you into a man. He makes you into a human person. He gives you nourishment. He lets you live. And then he says, worship that God. Worship that God. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was someone who used to stand all night. And if you read about him, then you start thinking like, this ain't true. Or, yes, I don't know. Someone can't live like this anymore. Someone, they say for a month, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, for a month, he had no fire lit in his house, no food, only dates and milk. His companions would come to him with stones tied around their stomachs, telling the Prophet that, Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of God, we've had no food for a month. He'd lift his shirt up and he'd have 2 stones tied around his stomach and say, I've got 2 stones, you've got 1 side. Zuhud, that's what he used to call it, a disdain for the world they had. All they had was love for the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They only had pure love. At one time in the night, his main companion is called Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. That's one of his main companions. Just like Jesus has disciples, he used to have people who were close to him. And one of them is called Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. When he comes at night. And the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is walking at night as well. And they don't usually walk at night. And this is just a glimpse of how they were around the Prophet. So he comes out at night, and so does the Messenger of Allah comes out at night. And he sees Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. And the Messenger of God's walking, and he says to Abu Bakr, why are you doing here at this time of night? And he says to the Messenger of God, Kay anzur ila wajhi Rasulillah, so that I can maybe see the face of the Messenger of God, wa usallim ilayk, and then I can just send salutations upon you. So he's there walking around at night, just walking around just in case that he might see the Prophet of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him. And he sends his salam, and he walks off again. And he's doing some sort of days around the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. On the Battle of Uhud, one of the greatest battles that ever happened, the mountain that still exists in Saudi Arabia. They encircled the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Talha, one of his other companions, he stands right in front of the Messenger of God. The people that were fighting will start shooting arrows onto Talha ibn Ubaidillah. He jumps in front of the arrows, and on that day they say that his back was like a hedgehog in defense of the Messenger of God, peace and blessings be upon him. They would kill themselves to make sure that the Prophet Muhammad had no harm, no blood that fell upon the ground on this earth. And you need to start realizing, or we need to start realizing, that this is something different. This is where you can sort of reach the celestial heights. Because I'm speaking as a human right now, that we live in a world that the sole purpose of everything that we do, forget Islam, forget Christianity, forget Judaism, forget every religion, the sole meaning behind life is happiness. Every single person that does something, you want happiness at the end of it, otherwise you wouldn't do it. If you want work, you want money, you want happiness at the end of it, that's your sole aim. If I was to tell you, why are you doing that, brother? Or why are you doing this, sister? Okay, why are you doing that? Why are you doing medicine? I want money, I want a good job. Why are you doing a good job? Why are you doing good money so I can feed myself, I can have a good house, I can have a good life? Why do you want that? So I can do this, X, Y, Z, I can live a comfy life. Okay, why do you want to do that? I want to be happy. I want to be happy. That's the sole purpose that they tell us the human strives for, is happiness. Surur, that's all he wants, is happiness. Every single person wants that for themselves, for their children, for their parents, for everything. Why do you want food? So because you're always in a state of anxiousness. And Allah tells us in the Quran, وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانَ هَلُوءًا. He tells us that the man was created in a state of anxiety. That everything that we do, we're anxious. We want to eat. How can I eat today? Okay, I'm fasting. Or I'm not eating until yesterday. Or I need to eat. Why? You fear that you won't get food. Fear of poverty. I need to work. Fear of money. I need money. Oh, this is going to happen. Or that's going to happen. X, Y, Z is going to happen. Therefore, everything that we do is all about anxiety. Getting from that state into a state of happiness. If you want that, then you need to start understanding the world that you're in. You need to start understanding what you have right now. You have a body, a physical form with senses of the eyes, the ear, the nose, the hand. You have the capacity of the intellect, and you also have something called the soul that resides within you. There's the three things, the three components the human being is made of: the mind, the body, and the soul, and they have to work in unison for you to reach happiness or to excel and to be someone who is never in a state of depression. And for too long, we've become people who are embedded in the physical realm. We've forgotten about the metaphysical realm. If you think about something that's called experiments, if you see something happen, then it's true. That is something embedded in the physical realm. If I was to tell you that I saw an angel today, you'd be like, that's impossible. Because your senses can't see it. Your eye can't see an angel. You can't see it. Therefore, you think it doesn't exist. If you could see it, you'd say it exists. But because the senses can't see it, you fail to accept that. Because where the intellect finishes, the soul starts to work. And that's where people need to start going, is to stop intellect, use it with a certain thing called the metaphysical, which the intellect will never grasp. Only the soul can grasp it. And they give us they tell us a good formula. So if you want to know I'm lying, then try it. If I tell you to do something, try it. If you want to refute something, try it first.